This is Matt for Behind the Gloves in association with S-Jam Boxing. I'm delighted to be joined by light heavyweight Tommy Fury. Tommy, thanks for joining us. I know you want to go off and see Isaac, so I appreciate your time with us. First off, how are you keeping? How are you getting on?
Yeah, I'm keeping very well, thanks. Just ticking over in the gym as normal. How about yourself?
Yeah, just work and interviewing people like yourself, so it's a bit of it's a good day for me, do you know what I mean? Isaac Lowe's just been out in a tough fight. Bit of blood there. It looks like he told me yesterday he made the weight fine and started off well. Bit of back and forth. How did you sort of assess his performance?
I think he had 13 months out the ring. It's a long time to be out the ring. It's a good fight to get back in with because he knows you need the activity. I think that's the one thing he's missing at the minute. Being active is the main thing in boxing. So once he gets that activity going, he'll be forced to be reckoned with.
I spoke to him yesterday and he said, listen, maybe not ready for a world title yet, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and keep going down that path. Have you seen the back and forth he's had with Jordan Gill online?
Yeah,
is that a fight you would like to see? Maybe on potentially Tyson and AJ's undercard. Is that one you'd like to see?
Yeah, I think it's a good dust up. Definitely, I think it'd be a great fight too. Both coming off good wins. Isaac's had a tough fight now, but once he gets a few more fights underneath his belt, and obviously Jordan keeps winning, I think that'll be a great fight for the UK. And I think we should see it happen because obviously it's got to be a needle with it, some bit of bad blood, so why not?
It's certainly hotting up online, but it's that thing with social media, you'll know that yourself, and we'll get onto that in a minute. Moving on, just before we talk about your last fight, obviously the fight everyone wants to see, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. You must get sick of talking about it because you're probably in the same boat as him where he's like, I just want to fight and get on with it. But from your end, what's the hold up? The whole world's sort of anticipation, thinking contracts just need to be signed. From your opinion, where are we at with it all?
From my opinion, but our side, Tyson, he's ready to fight. He's proved that. He had 3 years off. He had 2 relative spars, and then went in with Deontay Wilder, the WBC world champion. And while he had them 3 years off, Tyson, AJ and Wilder were talking 5 years about getting on and still haven't. So it's clear to see, isn't it? But obviously there's a lot more in top level boxing that meets the eye. There's a lot of politics that go into it. But at the end of the day, I'm just like everybody else in the world. I just want to see the fight, hope it gets signed, and when it does, it'll be a great day.
I spoke to Tyson yesterday, he was kind of giving me a few minutes of his time, and I was quite surprised. We talked about Deontay Wilder and the trilogy, and he actually said, listen, the Wilder trilogy is probably the second most lucrative fight for him. Yeah. We've all said things in the past. Are you a bit surprised he's even considering it after the fact he's come out and said what he said and almost discredited that victory from Tyson in Vegas? Are you surprised at that?
Not really, because at the end of the day, there's only Wilder and Joshua about, isn't there? The rest, it's them, and then the rest of the heavyweights. I feel like their rest of the heavyweights are going to come after they've left. And if one man doesn't want to fight, Tyson, he doesn't want to be sat around, for another year with no fights. Like I said before, activity is the key. So Tyson want to fight as much as anybody. And if Wilder's the only fight out there, then Wilder's the only fight out there. And Wilder, like you say, it's a trilogy fight. Everyone will tune in, so it'll be another great night in Las Vegas.
Moving on to yourself, you're out recently. You took a little bit of criticism from the people who said, "Oh, he's fighting a guy with a bad record," but that's not necessarily your fault. You're 21 years of age, still learning, still moving through. And I know your dad's defending you to the hilt, saying, "Listen, we're moving at his own pace. We're not going to be chucking him." Because do you feel like you're in a no-win situation because you've obviously got your brother who's doing it, and then if you go in with someone too high, they'll say, "Why are you doing that?" Are you almost in a no-win situation?
Yeah, I have been my whole life. Ever since I was a kid, oh, that's Tyson's brother. Let's have a look at him spar. It's Tyson's brother. Let's have a look at him in his amateur fight, professional debut. Tyson's brother, all time. Pressure's always been on, so you learn to just switch off from that. By the end of the day, my career now, I don't care what anybody thinks about it or says anything about it, because whether I go in there with a former world champion or fight a journeyman, I'm going to get the same thing, because there's a lot of jealousy in the world today, and people don't want to see you do well, and that's top and the bottom of it. How can you discredit a guy who's trying his best, who's had 10 amateur fights as a kid, and he's coming to the hardest sport in the world, just trying to do the best that he can? And that's all I'm trying to do. I'm not calling anybody's name. I'm not trying to, claim that I'm the best and I'm going to be a world champion for 20 years. I'm literally just coming to the boxing world doing the best that I can. I'm 21 years old. There's no rush. I've had 5 pro fights. There's no rush at all. At the end of the day, top Olympians and prospects are going in with the same people that I am and not stopping them. So I must be doing something right. That's all I know. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to listen to anybody about my career. I'm going to, keep training hard, keep winning, keep learning, and keep listening to my dad and my team around me. And the fights will come. The fights will come regardless. It's about the way we do them, take the fights, and it's the way we win. As long as I keep improving every fight, that's all that matters to me.
I think probably one of the reasons is because you grew to fame mainly from the Love Island side of it, and you grew your following. So now you've got all the eyes in the world on top of that, as well as obviously the association which you're going to have with Tyson. So maybe that's some of the reason that people are a bit, I don't know, maybe sceptical when they see your opponents. But fair play to you. In the aftermath of this fight, though, a bit of a strange one. I don't think many people saw it coming. Jake Paul, I've got to mention him. I'm sure you're sick of talking about him. He came out and basically sort of mocked you, discredited you a little bit by saying, Tyson's little brother, and if Tyson took a shit, that would be his little brother. I saw them comments and it sort of was a bit like, what's going on here? You responded in your own way, but what are your thoughts on him moving over? I mean, he's fighting Ben Askren. What are your thoughts on the whole Jake Paul situation?
I just think he's excuse me language, a shithouse wannabe. At the end of the day, he's a YouTuber who's trying to cause a bit of waves in the boxing scene and get everybody talking about him. He's called out Canelo, for God's sake. I mean, well, I'm not even going to get into that. Let's just forget that. But Jake Paul, I mean, he is what he is, and he's a YouTuber. But I put him straight. I told him where it was. If he wanted to fight, all he had to do was get in touch. But you seen him in Coogan's interview with him the other day. That's all you heard of him. This and that, excuses. There ain't no excuses with me. I'm not calling his name. He started saying all bad stuff about me first. So at the end of the day, if he wants to fight, he knows where I am. Come and fight. But at the end of the day, if not, he can stick to fighting wrestlers, because that's what he's fighting next. Ben Askren, he can't stand up and have a fight. He'll take you down and whatnot. So we all know what's going to happen there. But at the end of the day, he knows where I am. If he wants to fight a legitimate fighter and get some bit of credit in the boxing world, come see me.
Brilliant. Well, Tommy, I took a lot of your time up and I appreciate that. Thanks for talking to Behind the Gloves, and fingers crossed we can catch up again.
God bless, mate. Thank you.
No worries.
Oh, hey there, fight fans. Didn't see you there. If you guys haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go to do so by clicking right here, or else.